What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Jack Ramsays postgame show. I'm your host, Danny Marang, joined as always by Brandon Sprague. And holy shit! Just, what the fuck, man?
Hey, what does a 3-8 NFL team with a disgruntled quarterback and a 10-11 NBA team with a frustrated superstar have in common?
They're owned by the same ownership group.
They have an absolute piece of shit owner who doesn't know or care about sports at all, and that's got to be the greatest feeling in the world for both fan bases.
It is a dark place, and I said this before we came on Twitter. The most damning thing I can say about this team right now is this: they're near the not worth watching stage.
That's the most damning thing you can say?
Not giving a shit is worse than giving a shit about a bad team. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. When you get to, oh, I didn't know they played tonight. Yeah, I think that's the level of worry. And you know, I'm be curious to see. It's still one of the best fan bases in sports, and I know COVID has had a huge part of this, but is that home attendance going to be even as much as it has been? Like, are we going to see that slip? Because here's the unfortunate reality, and I know we'll get into what tonight was.
Yeah.
This team is not good. I think we know that. I don't think that's a debatable thing anymore. The problem is they are now going to come home into December, as you noted in our mailbag pod, and they have a truckload of home games. They have 10 home games, I believe.
16 games in December, and I think 10 are home.
10 of this.
10 or 12. Yeah, it's a lot.
I think it's 10 of 14. I think that's what it was. Casey said it on the broadcast. But the point is, of those 10 games, I think they legitimately have one hard game, and I think that's the Nets on December 23rd. Every other game is Spurs, T-Wolves, Pistons, and what's going to happen is what this team does every year. They clearly look like a team that's not very good. We know that. But they put a stretch together because the schedule breaks their way. They go above 500 by X amount of games, and some of us tell ourselves that this is turned around, this is fixed, this is better. So if that happens in December, I just want to warn it now, November 29th, after getting their ass kicked by Utah, I will not be surprised if that is what happens next month.
Gabe Lauder says it's a rudderless ship. And I think, I think that's where they let this thing go for so long that even if they do go off and win some games here, I don't think it's a situation where it's like that's going to save anything. It might save the organization some dollars, right? Because they're going to get more people that care and they go to more games. But I mean, they haven't cared in a road game this year. Their one road win is against Houston. They've won 3 in a row. It's like I saw some people like, Houston, like they're the worst team in the NBA. By far. That's Portland's one road win. They have gotten boat raced, dog walked, just the crap kicked out of them on the road. It's not even you go look at their splits, they're the worst team in the NBA on the road. It's like they're awful.
Yep.
Not like if shooting, no, they're dog shit on the road. Don't get it twisted. There's no like, well, stop. And it's that starting unit, man. It is insane. It's great. Well, let's hit in the game, then we'll get into the grand scheme stuff because I can feel a rant building already, and we just hit 5 minutes. I know a bunch of people were like, give me the rant. I'll get there. Trust me.
Do we need to go over the game? Don't we know what the game?
Well, let's hit listen, man. I put a lot of work into like making all the graphics and shit, so we're gonna use the graphics, okay? I literally can feel my old technical directors and producers like anytime I would derail a show and like, dude, we spent all that time making that and you didn't use it. I was like, oh, my bad. Sorry. Yeah. And I make stuff that's nowhere even close to as good, and I'm like, no, we're going to get on this. The Portland Trailblazers lose to the Utah Jazz 129-107. The most important thing here is what, Brandon? The overhit, ladies and gentlemen. The overhit safely.
And Utah covered, by the way.
Oh, God, they did.
It was only 7.5. They won by like 40 points.
Oh my God. Yikes. I totally forgot that it was that massive roadkill.
Yeah. My best hope was I would be proven wrong come post game, and we could talk about a close loss or win.
Yeah. And for anybody just coming in for the post game, like oh, they're just sitting here talking shit about the team. We were both like, come on, give us something positive. Let's get a little something good in the pregame. Like, give me something nice to kind of listen. Right. Even if I was literally willing to accept a moral victory. Like, just compete, man. They came out in that first quarter, Brandon. Let's just go through the game real quick. They came out in that first quarter and they looked awful. I don't know what coverage Jusuf Nurkic was running to start that game. I don't know what universe CJ McCollum was operating in, but the two of them got annihilated repeatedly in pick and roll by Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, and Rudy Gobert.
How many open dunks did Gobert have in the first quarter?
He had 5 in the first half, I believe.
Jeez.
I think he ended the game with 9 dunks.
And there was on those dunks,
there was 2 that he didn't get.
Right.
In the first quarter.
The ones that he did get, I mean, there was nobody within 3-4 feet of him, which is crazy on that size of court with those size of guys.
And the thing about this is, you know what they're gonna run. You know that Gobert is not a threat outside. You know him as a rim runner is one of the most violent things in the NBA. And yet, Jusuf Nurkic is playing at the three-point line, and the Blazers are weekly trapping, weekly pushing, weekly edging. There was a clip that I retweeted earlier on Twitter, and it was just a shit show. They strung it out, but then they soft drop, and Gobert just set the slip, and Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, hell, anybody outside of Blazers centers, really, tagging Rudy Gobert on the roll is nightmare fuel. Because they're not going to do a damn thing. No. There's nothing any of those guys can do.
I mean, there was a possession. I should have marked when it happened. It was early. It was the first half. And I felt like, not that this is groundbreaking tidbit here, but it was very representative to me of what this team kind of is. Donovan drove left. He did one of those kind of sideways scoop layup shots that you use your body. It's hard to block. And CJ was defending him, and CJ was riding. And as soon as he turned the corner on CJ just kind of
turned and looked,
dog kind of behind him and had no chance. Gets the ball immediately. And what does CJ do? He goes on offense. He tries to dribble. He cuts in and he goes for a lay. And I just thought that kind of captures it all in this era of this dude's just not a defensive player. He never will be. And some guys have it, some guys don't. But I mean, it kind of sums up what we're doing here. We thought this team was going to come back and be some different defensive juggernaut. It was idiotic. And I'll take it a step further. You said we just wanted them to compete. And my rebuttal to that is, no disrespect the way I say this to you, but I feel like a lot of people are with you on that. We are past that point. We are not to the point in Damian Lillard's 10th season
where you're trying shit out.
Where we're I hope we have close losses. That's the problem. This dude came out in the summer. Yeah. Some stuff came out. He didn't like it because the backlash was going to build. His brand is not abandonment. His brand is hard work and grind and get through it. And you know what? Kudos to him for not asking for a trade openly. I wouldn't blame him at this point. I'm kind of to there where it sucks. They're not a fun team to watch. It can't be a fun team to play with. And I'm past this point where 10 years in with a top 75 player all time, an all NBA guy, we're I hope that they care to compete tonight. That's not the barometer we should be setting.
Yes. That's I think the best way to encapsulate all of this. This is not a Chauncey or Terry to Chauncey thing or anything like that. It's a building a bleepity bleeping team around maybe the best player in your franchise's history. And your cheap-ass ownership, your shitty leadership, and your inability to do a goddamn thing over the last 6 years has come to a head.
Yeah.
I was going to go a different way, but I just...
Sorry, it's probably my fault. I didn't mean
no. I was going to go a softer, gentler way, but it's stupid. It's stupid to I love this. We have the full empowerment of ownership. They're going to duck the tax.
Well, absolutely. They made that abundantly clear. Yeah. We heard that they were going to pay. They're willing to pay the taxes. What we heard.
For those 2 years, which is what I said. Let me see it in year 3. Mm-hmm. Let me see it in year 3. That's what I always said. You're committed to it, then really commit to it.
Yeah.
You're not.
No. Do you even think she watched this game tonight?
Probably not.
I don't think she did. I don't think she watched the Monday Night Football game. And somebody could say, well, I saw her on TV. I still don't think she watched. Like, she's got 2 franchises that are pretty loyal fan bases.
Oh, diehards. They have their whole regions locked up.
And I don't like to use the word too much. I probably use it too much. But literally have what you want in both sports. You have committed superstar players at great positions to have. Mm-hmm. And you might squander it because the ownership of these teams is clueless. She was gifted it.
Well, that's part of the problem. Anytime you're gifted anything, it's not yours. It's not real. It's not any of that. But I mean, the issues were there even when Paul was here. Paul,
I know.
Paul. The thing is Paul had untimely death, and then things just couldn't happen.
The Pelican series is going to bite this team. Like
it should have been a hard reset in 2017 for both Terry and Neil. There's no doubt about that.
You would have traded CJ, you would have kept Dame, you would have built a couple pieces with him, and you would have hit the full blow up. And I'd pay money for that conversation because he was talked out of it.
And I'd give away that 2019 Western Conference Finals if that meant a real shot at building around Damian Lillard. 100%.
Without a doubt. I think most people would, because watching 4 and 5 years losing the first round blows.
So, a couple things from this game. So, you get 23-21 in the first quarter. And I saw people like, oh, it looks like the Blazers are really competing. They weren't competing. The Jazz just weren't hitting shots. That's what happened. You know what the Jazz ended up shooting, right, Brandon, for the game?
I didn't see the final.
53-41-70. 19 made threes, 19 of 46. So they started 3 of 13. Jeez. So they went 16 for their next, 33? They basically shot 50% from 3 on volume the rest for the next 3 quarters.
I mean, every time that they shot the basketball, especially in the second half, I just assumed it was going in. And I was putting up my it's okay. Hey, what's up? Man's best friend. I was putting up my Christmas decorations with the kids. We had the game on, and every time I turned around, I'd hear Calabro, Clarkson for 3, and I would just turn around and watch it go swish.
What's funny is he struggled to start the night. What did he end up? He ended up 6 of 10 to 3. I think he was 0 for his first 4, or 1 for his first 4, and then I think he was 5 of his next 6. It was yike. But I also tweeted this out. Over the next 3 quarters, the Jazz scored collectively 108 points in the second, third, and fourth. So, congratulations, Portland. You kept them under 130, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause.
No, excuse me. That's a season high 129. That's the most points the Jazz have scored in a game this year.
If you're a struggling team, ladies and gentlemen, call 1-800-PORTLAND. They will get your offense back on track, guaranteed, or your money back.
They just played New Orleans twice. They've played Detroit. Like, the most points they've scored was against Portland tonight, 129.
Interesting. Yeah, you look at the starting lineup for the Jazz tonight: plus 11, plus 29, plus 21, plus 23, plus 11. And there are some lines tonight, man. Clarkson had 22, 6, and 3. Mitchell, 35, 2, and 4. Gobert, 21, 16, and 3. Ingles, 14, 6, and 2. 13, 4, and 2 from Bogdanovich. 14, and 5 from Gay. Remember when I said there's a whole bunch of dudes on this team that can beat your ass? I didn't expect them to collectively do it all in one night.
Well, here's the difference. You and I go back and forth. Sometimes we disagree. I was not shocked by what they did tonight at all. I
was, because they have not been competitive at all on this road trip. Not once. Just Danny, pure throwing the dice by
they are.
pure luck. You walk into a team just has a rough night. Just it's gotta come up for you sometime.
They're hardest players. Now, this isn't a shot at every player on this roster, but the guys who consistently bring it on this team on the road
off the bench.
Are off the bench, and sometimes Dame when he's feeling it. And Norm, I'll give Norm some credit. Norm doesn't give a shit, and I love that. But
and they were missing that tonight, the actual give a shit factor.
You're getting your lift from your bench guys, and that is basically your problem.
All right, just want to take a few minutes, welcome everybody in. It's a commiseration time. I can feel your vibes from the comment section. I am not ignoring you. I'm trying to keep up with the general thoughts of everything that's going on, and I get it. That's kind of what this is here. So let's break up the little bit of monotony about yelling and screaming. Give you my shitty headline for the night. Predictable Portland can't jazz it up. Get that? Because they can't play jazz because they're predictable.
I mean, one of the worst travesties in sports history is that the Jazz went from New Orleans to Utah, and the Utah fans were like, "Hey, we kind of like jazz out here."
I want to say something right now, but I absolutely can't say that.
What do you mean?
It'll come in a text later.
Okay.
But again,
they have called themselves if they didn't keep the Jazz name. Who knows?
It would have
pasties.
It would have gone really white. Let's be honest. But again, thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please subscribe here on YouTube. Rate, review, subscribe. Do all of the things for us. Share the podcast. Share the show. Let everybody know that we do the pre and the post game. That we do breakdowns. That we do mailbag pods. Then that we're pretty much 5 times a week show now. As terrifying as that is. Hey, if you really think about it, we do damn near 10 shows a week between all of them. I mean,
it adds up.
Very quickly.
We're already 21 games in, man. The season's
it's
flying.
Going boom, 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 boom. Mike Umscheid says we need Sprague hoodies. Listen, we're going to get some Jack Ramsays merch, but that just say, what are we doing? just put our faces on it. What are we doing? Let's have some fun real quick.
Okay.
A little bit of fun.
I'm in a good mood. I'm unbothered by this.
You can't.
Now.
I'm already dead inside. You can't kill me anymore.
I mean, that's really what it is. Oh, my wife's cheating for the 8th time. I knew the other 7. I'm okay.
Yeah, no big deal. Anfernee Simons. My headline for him tonight is the only reason to watch.
Yes.
24 points, got nuclear, 10 of 15, 4 of 7, couple assists. Looks like I got my assist and rebounds in the graphic mixed up because I'm an idiot. So there you go. But listen, Ant has solidified what I think he can be, what he can be, what he should be, which is a starting caliber, absolute lightning rod of a scorer.
Well, it's going to be a couple of things. One, the let's talk about something good thing actually pissed me off today because it's the second game now where he's been cooking and he somehow had 3 possessions.
Got frozen out.
Basketball.
Yeah, didn't even touch it.
And I'm just rolling my eyes bro, you guys are getting your butts worked. Just let the young dude cook. He's cooking right now. He's in his zone.
Yeah.
The second thing is, how much is he going to command? Because there are going to be some teams that look at him and say,
he's probably at $20 million right now. I haven't reached out yet, but I would imagine he's at 20 right now.
If you told me it somehow got to 22 or 23, I
wouldn't surprise you, right?
Wouldn't be shocked. I mean, what he has shown, and I know he had a little bit of a down run there, but for what his role is on a guard-heavy team, he's standing out pretty heavy. He's at least making you go, okay, well, you're not going to trade the starting 2 guard to move the starting 3 up to the 2 so the backup 1-2 can play more. Okay, cool. Can't wait to lose him to anywhere. I don't know, insert the New York Knicks or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And I saw somebody say, fast forward that Ant stat line 5 years. If he's basically saying he's CJ. If he's not scoring, what is he doing? his role right now is to score. And I'd say if you said 5 years from now that he's the exact same player he is now, that then I would say that's probably a failure. And what I'm saying is I already think Ant can do more than CJ as a creator, both as a shooter and as a playmaker. Not as consistent yet, but I think he's got more platforms to do it. He gets downhill. He gets to the free throw line. He's not an unwilling passer. I think
he's also
CJ
a better athlete.
Yes, and I think CJ's an unwilling passer. I think his first 4 settings are let me cook. I think Ant has a setting of let me cook, but also let me get others involved. I think he's more like if you're deciding between the two, Dame or CJ, I think he's more in the Dame mold, where it's like, yeah, he's definitely a primary scorer. There's no doubt about that. But I see him as being a playmaker when needed. But, man, I'll tell you what, one last thing on Ant. Did you see his possession on Clarkson tonight? Early in the game.
Was it the one where Clarkson? Yeah, I know.
Tried to back him down and twist on him and turn on him and post him up.
Him back up. He was going to do a turnaround. He couldn't get it because Ant was right in his face. I got to stop moving. My internet, I think, is moving slow. So I'm looking like a dead guy right now. But yeah, I know what possession you're talking about. I was like, oh, okay.
That was a thing. It was like, that's where I start seeing growth. Those are the kind of things that I look for and go, okay, listen, even if he's not perfect, that effort's there. You can see it.
You have the ability to do that. That's in you. Yeah.
Whereas with other guys, I don't think they have it. And it's just longer. I don't know if it's necessarily stronger yet, but more athletic, more explosive. And I think that plays a big part. It's just a lot. I'm trying to find something else nice to talk about tonight. I thought Nas brought some energy and some effort.
I jinxed him on the shooting.
You did.
I'm just going to shut up from now on. I thought he did do a few nice things. I'm glad he wasn't as hurt as he looked.
He went over in a heap.
I thought it was a knee at first, the way he was holding his leg, and then I saw the replay, and you kind of saw the tweak, but he ended up being okay. Thought he did some nice things. Grand scheme, not a whole lot. If you're not scoring 20 points, not a whole lot to really, I guess, discuss because the team as a collective did not look good. I jinxed his shot, but I thought he did some positive things when he came in at first.
Yeah, no, and I think that's what he's going to continue to do is bring that energy, bring that hustle, bring that environment, so to speak. That's going to be pretty much the end of the nice stuff. Which backcourt mate do you want to go with first, Dame or CJ?
I don't really have anything on Dame.
You just want to just kind of go? Okay.
You lead where you want us to go.
I'll go.
Talk about Dame.
I'll just say Dame tonight. My headline for him was all breaks, no gas.
Yeah.
He didn't look to have it. Didn't look to have the juice. Didn't get downhill. Didn't put pressure on guys.
Also got hurt 2 different times.
Took the knee to the thigh and looked like he got racked across the hand by Ingles. So it looked like Gobert with big long legs put a knee into his thigh. The camera angle wasn't great, so it was kind of hard to tell.
I think that's what it was because he was holding right kind of where a knee would probably
be. Right around like the upper thigh hip-ish area.
I think if you've ever played any sport at any level, you've had like a deep bruise some way. Like
that's what Norm has right now. Norm took that knee the other night, and it was bad enough to where it hurt like hell that he sat.
And sometimes those kind of like those bruises, like if you told me Dame on the plane back, like lands in Portland, he's like gets up from the seat.
And he's like,
I bet that ain't feeling great, right? Like give me the numbing medicine or give me some Advil or something. But I can't imagine that's going to feel great.
Speaking of not feeling great, CJ McCollum's game tonight. Box score looked pretty nice, 19-6-3. Headline for him, bags are packed. He was checked out of that game. He was just hunting shots and stopping the ball as much as humanly possible. I thought this is his most egregious night. It's kind of hilarious on the nights that I think
this was the most egregious
with
like
Chicago, more than Chicago in this sense. The timing of his ball stopping. There were a couple times when it felt like things were getting going in the first quarter, and then he came down the court and jacked up an early 3. And then he came down and dribbled, and then tossed a grenade to Tony Snell. And I was like, this isn't the time for that. Like, let's get a little something better. Like, if you're cooking, if you figured something out, okay. But it wasn't like he was hot. It wasn't like he was like, nobody else is going. I got to carry the load right now. And I understand, like, the the need and the willingness as the number 2 to say sometimes you just have to take shots. Like, as much as I despise Carmelo Anthony's time here, and I did, no doubt about it, he worked as a sin eater for that second unit. And by sin eater, I mean some possessions are broke from the start. And sometimes you just got to create shit out of nothing.
Yeah.
And CJ can do that. But the problem is, instead of like taking 13 seconds to get to that point, sometimes it's better just to move the ball. And I was talking to a couple people again tonight around the league, and they just said, listen, man, maybe Terry wasn't a bad coach and he was just doing what they needed to do because they just don't have, like, it's not like an anti-Chauncey system thing, but it was more of a, maybe Terry was doing what he was doing because they just don't have the requisite playmaking or skill to do the things that they want to do.
I think that was one of the things going into the year I was most curious about with Chauncey. Like, the defensive thing I thought was kind of a joke, and I couldn't believe people actually ran with, oh, the defense is going to be better. No, it's not. Not when you run 3-6-3 guys in your starting lineup. The biggest thing for me was the offense, because there was so much made about how different it was going to be and what they're going to aim to do versus what they had been doing. I believe the exact quote is, I believe I can make our offense better. Chauncey said that. And I'm not saying he does. I'm not saying he doesn't know offense with what I'm about to say, but pardon my French, how the hell were you planning to do that with this team? There was no conceivable path for this group to be better than what they had been under the previous coach.
More aesthetically pleasing, I think, and more.
But it's not possible with these guys like that. I guess that's kind of what
they were optimized. No, I think you're right. I think they were optimized to the level that they could, and that's in the sense of, like, could they have gotten more passing out of those guys last year and more assists? Yes. Could that have saved them in some games when things got really stagnant? Yes. But do I think that Terry did what he did to maximize their ability to win during the regular season and just get to the playoffs? Yes. Whereas the reward for doing what they're doing right now under Chauncey, I don't think it translates to the playoffs, not because of the system, but because of the personnel. Which is why I've been beating that drum for literally 6 years that they needed another playmaker.
Here's a dark question for you. If Mr. Investigation comes back, keeps his job, which probably people are leaning yes. If either one of the guys publicly states that they want changes, how many years would he run this?
What do you mean?
Well, I think the assumption naturally is that when O'Shea comes back and he's cleared of this stuff,
okay,
and he's in charge again publicly, even though he's probably in charge privately, because the owner sucks. Everybody, I think, is convinced that he's going to make this huge move, and I think they assume it's going to be with CJ, and I'm not convinced of that, man. Like, I rewatched during that game. I rewatched a chunk of his press conference where he kind of lashed out in front of the computer screen to everybody. And that there's a part of that I was looking for something else, but I found out one of the other parts that I had forgotten when he was like, "There's this idea in the media that there's a reluctance to move certain guys," and I just thought, well, yeah, because you've failed to move the guy you need to move because you drafted that guy.
There's literally executives in other offices that have told me verbatim that he will not move him. So
the assumption is that if Neil or somebody else comes back, that CJ's going to get traded. I don't know that. I don't know if I believe that.
No.
So, like, he's going to really run this. He might run this the whole way. And then, like, what's he going to do in the summer? Is he just going to be like, finally fold up shop? Like, I was wrong. Because if he survives, he's probably going to keep his job. Because they don't.
Well, then he's empowered. There's no way. Then he's not doubling down on, like, or he's going to double down on it. He's not going to go the other way. Like, oh, clearly there was my hesitation here, and that was what's holding me back.
And I'd love to be nothing would please me.
Listen,
more
prove me wrong, baby.
Exposed. Yeah, old takes expose me. Like, I freezing cold takes. I don't really care.
I would love to be wrong.
I am not led to believe that he's willing to make the move that I think is pretty necessary and obvious to most people.
Let's hit on the one last guy tonight, and then we'll do some big picture stuff real quick. Jusuf Nurkic.
Okay.
He giveth and he taketh away.
I thought he had some good moments tonight, though.
24 and 10, 9 of 13. When he peaked, he peaked.
Yeah.
When he valleyed, holy shit did he crater. It was just...
Yeah.
So, the thing that I noticed tonight, and this is going to be the backhandiest of backhanded compliments, is he took advantage when Rudy Gobert wasn't on the floor. But when Rudy was right there with him, he kind of shrunk from the moment. But he did take advantage every time it was anybody but Rudy Gobert.
Well, anytime the non-starting center was out of the game, our starting center actually started playing well. Gobert just kind of owns that dude, man.
Gobert owns a lot of people, and I think he gets unfairly wrapped in because he's a corny-ass dude who did something really stupid, and his broadcast crew just endlessly yells about screen assists to talk about how great he is. And it's like, he's good. He's very good.
He's a very good player. I don't want to short. I'm just...
No.
This is when Nurkic plays well, right? It's like, let's give him credit for Chicago. Why? Because he had a 6'5" guy on him in the paint. Yeah. He finally dunked the GD basketball. Like, sometimes, man, I think there's acceptable times for credit, and there's other times I roll my eyes. Hey, my 10-year-old nephew's guarding me in the paint. He's 5'4". I am 6'1".
He took advantage of Donovan Mitchell when they got messed up on the cross matches.
Like, thank you for doing that.
21, 16, and 3 on 9 of 11 from Gobert.
And I'm not hating on Nurk. Like, again, I thought he had some really positive. He had some real good plays.
When he had big moments, the offensive putbacks.
Yes.
There was a time there in the fourth quarter when they got it relatively close.
They were creeping at like the 10 to 12 mark for a back and forth.
He had
an and one.
Yeah, and he had like 4 possessions defensively where he started dropping a bit more and playing more rim protection, and he was able to funnel stuff out because he wasn't having to retreat from all the way at the 3-point line, like more of his natural habitat. I was like, you can actually feel his impact right now.
Yeah.
But it was a weird position to be in. And it was... He had a great box score. 24 and 10, 9 of 13. Like, there's knocks down that corner 3, talked a whole bunch of cash shit. Loved that. There was like that he had 2 4-minute bursts in this game. He ended up playing 27 minutes. And it was like, yeah, okay. Like, we saw that tonight where it was like, he had that offensive rebound putback, and I think it was against Conley and Mitchell, but he kind of ran through Mitchell after it, and I was like, there you go. There's that asshole.
He had a couple of those, like, when he was running back up the court, he'd, like, shoulder Conley.
Yeah!
My laptop, but he shouldered Conley kind of on his way up. And
yes!
Conley even looked back like, what are you doing? And Nurk was just like...
Yeah, like, remember when he accidentally tripped Westbrook? Clicked his heels together?
Oh, yeah, I do remember that, yeah.
Little trolly shit like that lets you know when he's really, like, the more Nurk is trolling, usually the more, like, in tune he is. And I want him to be that guy.
Yes.
And, like, the when you see those spurts, like, there you go. Adel Kurt, who's probably one of the 3 biggest Nurkic supporters, says, we talk too much shit about Nurk. Well, I mean, don't get outplayed by your rival center or your rival matchup night in, night out. To be fair, we've spent 35 minutes now talking mostly shit about everybody not named Anfernee Simons. So, Dame got his, CJ got his, Nurk's catching his now.
I think you can... But see, I think that's the difference, though. Like, I think you can like a player and also admit like what their flaws or faults are. And I think the Nurkic we got in the trade immediately, it was like, do we have a mini Shaq on our hands? And it was fun, but it's the last couple of years. I think it's been proven that he's kind of an up and down guy. He's going to have some good nights, some nights where he's kind of both, and then he's going to have some awful nights. And
he's not the reason they lost tonight. I just thought I thought his box score was really interesting. Like, a really big box score and very efficient, but also I thought you felt his positive impact a ton, and you felt his negative impact a ton. Whereas there was, Evan James says, time for shit talk about Cove. You know what? I didn't even get that far. He had his worst game of the season probably tonight.
Oh, that's debatable. He had a 20-minute game where he didn't shoot one time.
Yeah, well, in that game, he didn't shoot 0 for 3, though, either.
I'd rather him shoot 3 shots than shoot 0 shots in 20 minutes. You want to fight me on the worst game of Robert Covington? Let's do this. Let's fight about the worst game of Robert
He's had a couple bad ones this year. What's funny is, no, that's what I'm saying, like really bad. Yeah. But here's the thing. I replied to a tweet kind of along these same lines earlier. Robert Covington not having a great night is like the 9th worst thing this team has to deal with. It hurts. Yes. There's no doubt about it. But it's like,
can I retweet that? Can you retweet like what people are saying in real time and in person? Because I see that sometimes. I see the Robert Covington stuff, and I honestly saw a tweet today and I chuckled. I was like, your takeaway from this game was what Robert Covington did? Like,
Dame didn't get the shot volume or have the impact. CJ was shot hunting. Nurk was in and out. Cove, his non-existence is, like I said, Nas couldn't knock down shots tonight. Nance had a rough night. He was... Bro,
Nance, when he has a bad game...
It's bad.
You can feel it oozing out of your television.
Zeller had a nice night.
Zeller had, I mentioned he had kind of had some rough spots and wasn't quite, and then he had a pretty good night. But Nance is like, it's like almost like the girl from The Ring coming out of your television. You're like, oh, you can feel how bad that is.
I did notice tonight, and this is kind of getting off track a little bit, but did you see Nance give his what the hell are you doing face back out tonight for a few guys?
No, I missed it.
3 different times.
Oh.
3 different times.
Who are they directed? Like, CJ's one of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Nurkic, one of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see if I can go the trifecta here. Dame?
No.
Cub?
Unexpected entirely.
Nas?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Nas jumped and ran out of pump. Remember the corner 3 that he ran out at and just jumped out wildly instead of just like closing under control?
Yeah. I mean, Nas is going to have a moment. I'm not surprised.
But Nance was giving him, dog, you know better than that. Nance does this. He gets the 45 and goes, come on, man. And it's nothing. And it's never anything serious. But if it's the same mistake over and over again, that head starts getting like further sideways, and it's one of those things. Just like, Maul says, Danny, how do you catch these things? I try to watch them but never see them. I spend probably 80% of the game not watching the ball.
Oh, yeah. I think that's interesting because like tonight for me, missing that moment, you and I will text about those moments during the game. If I miss those moments, it's because I'm doing something like I'm hanging a star on my Christmas tree. So I'm glad that you caught those tonight because I missed that. Today was not.
Larry doesn't hide them.
Oh, no. It is obvious. If you look for it, you'll see it because it's like, he gives you a death stare instantly. I
love it when you can read his lips. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Because he enunciates very clearly. There's no James Harden beer that you're trying to like look through and see what he says in there. It's very, very...
No doing this with a towel.
Yeah, no LeBron talk over the top. What are you doing, bro? What are you doing? So... Evan James says Nas needs rep. Yeah, no. Listen, guys, this is not an anti-Nas thing. Like, that's just Larry being Larry. I like that, and I love that about him, and I want him to continue.
Just noting that it happened 3 times in a game, and that's a lot.
Yeah. Larry just like the fact that he's like seeing the same. Remember Chauncey was it 2 weeks ago said, "Yeah, I'm just getting kind of tired of seeing the same mistakes." I think Larry's on that same vibe, and Larry's been here all of 2 months. Imagine, being here for a couple years and seeing the same things over and over again.
So is it wrong or right to wonder if Chauncey's defense is actually worse than Terry's because you have 2 better defensive players in your rotation than Carmelo Anthony and Enes Freedom?
I don't think it's worse because they are taking away the rim for the most part, with the exception of tonight. Against rim running centers.
It wasn't tonight.
They've done really good at denying the rim, but that's because they're really, really bad at vertical defense.
Well, okay.
The rim running kills them no matter who it is.
I'm not. Look, you're going to dive into some analytics, and you probably have a counter to this. You're not wrong. But if Chauncey lost Nurkic for 8 weeks, how would their rim protecting defense look then?
Actually, okay, because of Nance, Zeller, and this is where the one place where Cove is still okay.
So you don't think it would drop?
It would a little bit, but I don't think it was because here's the thing.
Okay. Well, again, he has who this year?
Not Cantor.
Well, yeah, and
not Melo. Yes, and that's the thing. Well, here's the thing. If he lost Nurk, would they be like burp and just completely bail out and play like either a super aggressive defense or a super conservative defense? Because here's the thing. With Nurk, he's not their rim protector more often than not. He's playing out further, and he's
at the top, yeah.
And even then, even when he drops in and plays to the level, the simplest way to explain this for anybody who doesn't know is in that pick and roll coverage, when Nurk steps up, he's getting to the level of the screener. So tonight, if it's Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, Nurk's trying to put his hips this is Gobert. Let me get my camera angles right. This is Nurk's hips. He's trying to get up here. Gobert's going this way. Nurk is trying to not let Gobert pass him. Mm-hmm. Once he passes his hips, this is the old Michael Irvin, if I'm even, I'm leaving. And whatever happened with that coverage tonight, whether somebody's supposed to tag, whether somebody screwed up the communication, Gobert either slipped the screen and got clear with no bump, or Nurk didn't flip his hips soon enough and stay even with him to deny that over-the-top pass that they just murdered the entire night. But on a normal coverage night, you're not worried about that vertical threat as much. So Nurk is still playing that in between and trying to run if that driver gets downhill, the ball handler gets downhill, to deter that shot away and then take away the lob if they can. When you see him play it both perfectly in between, that's the mwah when it comes together. The problem is Gobert's catch radius. I mean, we're talking Calvin Johnson.
Right.
It's the most egregious catch radius in the entire NBA. Throw it anywhere in the backboard area, it's a dunk. Mm-hmm. So it's a very, very, very precarious place for the defense to be in. Is the most roundabout way I can put that. So, well, Nurk. And this is like I don't like to beat up on Nurk, but he's also the lever. This is what he's supposed to do. In the whole CJ gets a pass and Dame gets a pass. Yes, welcome to the NBA where guards get passes. Unless
does CJ get a pass? You think CJ gets a pass?
Is he still on this team making $30 million a year?
Well, yeah, in that way. I thought you meant more from the media fan side of things.
No, I think they're finally starting to turn because I think it's finally year 6. It's just finally people are starting to go, I don't know about this. It's too much, but
we'll see what happens in December, man. I really do believe that. If you told me they held serve at home and won most of those games, and
I'm going to be surprised.
Seen this.
I'm going to be surprised.
That's fine. That's cool, and I get it.
They'll be above 500, but rattling off.
I've seen this before, man. You got a tweet tonight. It was like, and yet they're still 6th in the West, and it's like, you're cool with this? Like, to me, it's not about standings. It's about the team and how this is going to all shake out. Like, this team is, I mean, they're on track to be 1-40 on the road and 40-1 at home,
which would give them 41 wins, which is hilarious. They could go that things could go that well. We're going a little bit long tonight, so we want to make sure we get Brandon out of here because it's getting late. Actually, wow, 6 o'clock. Tip times are great. It's so much earlier.
6 o'clock tip times, man. I was like, oh, yes, we're starting a post game at 9 o'clock.
This is wonderful. We get the Pistons tomorrow night.
We got to win. That's a win.
It's at home after a road trip on a back-to-back.
Oh, they'll win that game. The Pistons are bad.
They are bad, but they've also been in games recently. So,
well, the Lakers suck.
Fair. So we will have you guys covered for the pre and post game going into that game. So we'll go at 5 again probably tomorrow. Sound good? Yeah,
sounds
we'll
good.
go 5. Remember to follow us on social media at Danny Marang, at Brandon Sprague, at Jack Ramsays. Like, rate, review. Find us wherever you get podcasts. Leave us a review. We haven't had any reviews in a long time. That helps us kind of grow things. Please, I'm begging. I actually am begging. Also, if you haven't already subscribed here on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Click the subscribe button. If you're sitting right there and you're watching us right now and you haven't subscribed, just click it. It's free. Please, help us. I'm begging again. Evan James asks, any chance Powell plays? I haven't been able to talk to anybody other than for a split second on the road trip, so I don't know how bad his leg actually is.
When you text Aunt goodnight, do you put a kissy face emoji?
No, just a chef kiss. Mwah.
Okay.
It's like me kissing him on the forehead.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Asshole. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful night, and we will catch you guys tomorrow for the pre- and post-game show. Until then, take care. Talk soon.